So the second part of the course obviously is focused on the first canon, the whole paramount canon. And I think it's a very interesting essay by Kipnis, Engineers Who Kill, because he's focused on that canon and he's trying to give a useful interpretation of it. And I think the first distinction that he makes is a good one to think about. And or really, I should say, the first question that he asks. And that question is what sort of thing the first canon is meant to be, or how we're to take it. And he gives us this choice between an ideal of the profession as opposed to a principle of professional conduct. What does he mean by that distinction? Well, what would an ideal of the profession, he says, is aspirational. It's something that would be good to do, and maybe the ideals of the profession are meant to articulate really the ultimate purpose, the ultimate service of a profession, in the sense that they say what an engineer should do to fulfill that purpose, and it might be, in his terms, really to raise the ambient level of safety of the human race and things like that. But the point is that it's aspirational. That it's something that you should do. It's something that a good engineer shall contribute towards the betterment of humanity, or making the world safer, or making human life more convenient for human beings. But it's not something that you could be called to account for not doing, really. That is, you can't violate an aspirational ideal. You can fail to live up to it, but that doesn't constitute some kind of infraction. The idea of a principle of professional conduct is meant to lay down a baseline of acceptable behavior as a professional, so that if you fail to hold to that principle, you could be said to have transgressed it. That is, in some way or another, to have actually broken a rule and to be potentially subject to some sort of sanctions. Obviously, he goes for the second. That is, I mean, I think he acknowledges, well, it's really kind of both, isn't it? I mean, but it's not just an aspirational ideal. It is a principle of professional conduct. That is, it sets again a lower limit of ethical behavior on the part of engineers, below which they cannot go. It is a rule or principle that can be violated. That's how he interprets it. Whatever else it is that. So then the question is, then we have to sort of, if we're going to say that it is a principle of professional conduct, then we're going to have to specify the conditions under which it can actually be transgressed, right? That is, it wouldn't be fair to leave it vague for engineers and then to accuse them of violating it if we had no real clear idea of what it meant to violate it, right? And so he has this interesting way of thinking about it, and I think it is very interesting that whatever else it may mean to violate the first canon. Let's see, this is on page 79. That long paragraph. He asks, is there a point at which the conduct of an engineer is professionally unacceptable, given the language of the codes? The answer seems to be that, though engineers are not culpable if they merely fail to make contributions to public safety and the rest, they are culpable if they act as a clear menace. So, well, I'm not going to talk about supervillains more than I absolutely have to, but you can sort of see, that is the line that's drawn here. Ethically, the basic, the most basic principle that is not to be violated is don't be a menace. Don't be a menace to society, man. may fail to heal somebody, but you definitely should not harm them. And I think there's a clear analog here. You may fail to make contributions to the welfare of humanity. You may do that, but you can't. An engineer acts as a menace to the health, welfare. Doing engineering